It's time for another dogfight battle. What's going on, guys? I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and up today, two phones that are really kind of brothers, but we got to put them to the test in traditional PhoneDog style. The Samsung Galaxy S2 available now on AT&T, and the Samsung Galaxy S2 Epic 4G Touch. I think I forgot the comma in that, but you get the idea, available on Sprint. Both members of the Galaxy S2 family, but they look a little bit different. This one looks a little bit more like the international version. This one has a bigger display, 4.52 inches, and has a bigger battery, 1,800 milliamps as opposed to 1,650 milliamp hours over here. Both have the same dual core 1.2 gigahertz processor, so it's really going to boil down to which form factor is the best and which carrier is the best to support these Galaxy S2 devices. We're going to find out in the full dogfight, but first, special thanks to my boys at Best Buy because they hook us up with all kinds of cool phones just like this for use in our One Paw Bandit game. So when you go into Best Buy Mobile, they'll help you walk out working regardless of whether you get this Galaxy S2 or this Galaxy S2. They'll help you walk out working. They'll set up your email, your web, get you set up with your phone calls, your voicemail, and more. So when you walk out that door, it's a phone. You don't have to spend 15, 20 minutes, 2 hours setting everything up at Best Buy Mobile. You'll walk out working. Enough of that. Let's get into a dogfight. So for part 2 of the battle, let's jump right into the meat of it, and that is speed test, my friends. Speed test. Let's take a look at quadrant standard on both of these devices and see which one comes out on top, because after all, they're both Galaxy S2 devices. They both have the same processor, so it'll be interesting to see which one wins. But I'll talk a little bit about call quality first. Call quality's been great on both of these devices. The earpiece is nice and loud on both the Galaxy S2 and the Epic 4G Touch. But one thing I will say, the data speeds have been dramatically different. Sprint's been having network issues. It's not just tied to Charlotte. I've had the issues in several different areas in the Charlotte area, but also experienced it in Orlando and parts of Manhattan and in San Francisco. And it's, if you Google search Sprint 3G data issues, you're going to see them as well. There are issues going on right now. I'm not sure why, but the data speeds have just been painfully slow. It took me 3 to 6 minutes to send a tweet the other day, or at an average 3 to 6 minutes. One took me as long as 6 minutes. And just little things like viewing mobile content from AP and more. So it's pretty frustrating. If you're looking for consistent data performance, the AT&T Galaxy S2 one is a little bit better. I love the body of this one though, and the bigger display, but unfortunately the data speeds have just been really rough lately. So here's to hoping that Sprint has that, or they changed their network around for that October 7th event. Maybe they announced some new 3G cell sites, or they announced something as part of Network Vision and as a part of their investor event on October 7th. 3,409 over on the Epic 4G Touch, and it's still sending over here, so we'll see which one wins the award. Sending benchmark results. Anyway, I'll keep talking about the data stuff because it is pretty interesting. Oh, never mind. 3,144. So 3,144 over here. 3,409. It's pretty interesting there. Let's take a look at speed test because you're going to see what I mean here with the various speeds. Now I'm running 4G right here. I found that it's relatively, I shouldn't say decent, because their 4G speeds right in my office here in Uptown have averaged between 0.5 megabits per second all the way up to, if I'm lucky and there's not a whole lot of traffic on the cell sites, about 2 megabits per second. We'll see what it does right now because we're just past rush hour, so hopefully it'll be a little bit of a faster speed. But I'm comparing HSPA Plus over here to Sprint's 4G or WiMAX, so we'll see which one comes out on top. So you can just see the speed differences here, and this isn't something, again, I want to harp on this, it's not something that I've noticed just in the area I'm standing in right now. The same thing happens at my home. I'm in North Charlotte. I've tested them in Northeast Charlotte. I've tested them in South Charlotte. One time I've had really good speeds are either areas right under a Sprint cell site or in an area, of course, obviously where I'm using Wi-Fi. So it should be really disappointing. And this is 4G again. I've seen these speeds as high as 6 and 7 megabits per second in the past. I'm not quite sure what's going on right here, but you kick it down to 3G and it gets even more frustrating. So it's going to be, these data drives everything we do on these devices, from updating the weather widget to looking at AP News to checking our Gmail. And if you don't have a good data performance, unfortunately, that just bogs down the device and makes, where you can't use 95% of its features. So hopefully they'll get that fixed. I hope they're working on that right now, and hopefully we'll hear a little bit more about that at their October 7th event, because I still do like Sprint as a company. I think they're great. They're very scrappy, and I love that. They have a good corporate environment. We'll hope to see some changes. I'm going to run another one over here and see if I can get this one to kick back down, because I wanted to show you what it was like on 3G and see if I can get this one to start up. It looks like it's kind of frozen, decided to stop. So we're going to try this again. Let's go over here to Task Manager. Let's kill out speed test, and we'll start it back up to see what we can do. See if we can get kind of a 3G score. Maybe they're a little bit faster tonight. Let's hope that they made some changes already. Sprint did reach out. They were kind enough to reach out and say, hey, what's going on? And I kind of talked to them about some of the issues. So hopefully we'll see some improvements here in the coming weeks, but it doesn't seem to want to cooperate and find the closest server. But you can see over here 1.73, so usually pretty consistently in this area between 1.5 and about 2 megabits per second. At night or when the traffic's a little bit less, you see it go as high as 3.5 to 3.75 megabits per second on the download. This is taking too long, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of that, but you get the general idea. It's just been very, very frustrating, so hopefully 4G will kick back on. But I want to show you the Android market, because if you don't use an Android device or if you worked with one in the past, there's a new Android market that's come out. And it's a huge improvement over the previous versions. It looks better, and most importantly, it groups together apps, games, books, and movies all in one convenient place. So you can get your games, you can get your books, you can even get your apps and your movies. So it's kind of redundant, but you get the idea. So we'll go into movies, for example, and you can see here what comes up. And they've kind of done this, I say this in all the videos, but it's kind of this Metro UI look, kind of like what we've seen with Windows Phone, where you have a rectangle here and a square, or a smaller rectangle here and a square here and another rectangle. It kind of attracts your eye to various spots with the picture. So a lot of different options, and then of course you can go to top rentals and you can go to new releases, and they kind of show in these little squares, and you can go over here to You Got Served. You Got Served. Beat the World. And it shows the synopsis, cast and credits, and then the reviews. And then user also viewed. I don't know why the connection timed out, but we'll see here. New World, American Violet, and more. So you got your movies over here, and you got your apps as well. I didn't mean to cancel out of the Android market, but we'll let that one load up as well. Apps over here, and you can see it's loading up. And so we'll go over and take a look. I want to show you what it looks like. I kind of give you an idea of the display difference here, because hopefully you can kind of see it in the camera here. Look at top paid and top free, just so you can see the different sizes. It is noticeably bigger on the Epic 4G Touch, so it's nice to have the added space. So we'll go over here to Google Maps, for example, and you can, now that I have it installed, I can open it or uninstall it. It shows me some screenshots, allows for automatic updating, shows rates and reviews and what's new, descriptions and more, reviews. Users also view market content, more by Google, and more. And then you have share and search up here. So it's just a better look for the market, and it combines, again, all the music, or all the books rather, and all the movies into one spot. So it's just an easier place to download. And then you also have, I'm going to go back here so you can see, Samsung's Media Hub, which I'm going to open it up on both devices again, just so you can get an idea of what it looks like. So Media Hub on both of these devices is going to go ahead and accept that. And you can see you can rent movies, you can rent TV shows, and you can view those on your device. So you have your carousel up here, and I forgot there's an update available on that one, so it's not going to let me look at it until that's updated. But you can see what it looks like over here. Fast 5, for example. You can own it for 18 bucks, rent it for 4, and you got the description, the summary, and more all the way down there at the bottom of the page. So you can rent movies when you're going on a long trip, rent those out. You've got 24 hours with all of those, and that's a pretty cool feature. So battery life on both of these, excuse me, has been pretty interesting, because this one has a 1,650 milliamp hour battery. This one has an 1,800 milliamp hour battery. It has a bigger display, but what's been particularly interesting to me is I haven't really seen that display take as much of a toll on the battery. So the battery life is still better, at least in my testing, still better on the Epic 4G Touch than it is on AT&T's Galaxy S2. It is a bigger battery, but apparently they didn't need all that extra milliamp hours in order to compensate for the screen, because I still get, pretty comfortably a day of use with moderate use out of the Ep Touch. With this one, get into like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I'm having to charge it. And so it is a noticeable difference. Now, Samsung devices do take forever to charge. That's one thing I will say. If you're like me and you live off that 15 or 20 minute charge while you're in the car, or you're running between meetings, or you're doing a million things, it's not going to work as much on this device. You're going to get 1 or 2 percentage points. They charge very, very slowly, so that's something to keep in mind. So keep around a spare battery, keep around car charger, chargers in your office, things like that. And let's take a look at the cameras. Now, both have 8 megapixel cameras. Again, these devices are almost the same. So it's going to be hard to point out little things like this, but we're going to pull out the iPhone. We're going to bring it over. Since it's a hot topic since the launch or the announcement of the iPhone 4S, bring over the iPhone, and I'm going to try and get it out of that way so I can try and get a clear shot here. No physical camera buttons on either of these devices, and actually that's too glossy to take a picture of. Let's take a picture of this reward certificate from Best Buy. Best Buy Reward Zone certificate. So we're going to go ahead and bring it over like this. And we're going to click on it like that, and I'm going to try to get in on this text. See if I can press it down to focus, and then lift it up, take the picture, and there we go. So you can see out far enough so we can see here. Bam. So you can see the text is pretty clear, pretty easy to read. Again, that larger display really comes in handy with pictures and things like that. Now I'm going to come down here and do the same thing. And you can see the camera. So again, just a very basic, simple camera test here, and both of these shoot video at 1080p. But one thing I will say, the camera just seemed to be a little bit better on the, or at least the shutter button seemed to be a little bit better. Did you see how quickly it focused in on that text? I was holding them both with my hand down like that, you know, almost exactly the same length apart, and it took 2 or 3 times for the Epic 4G Touch to pick up. This one did it right away and snapped it. The text is nice and crisp and clear, whereas over here, you can kind of see, and again, because of the smaller display, this is where it comes in handy. The colors are a little bit more rich. So on the camera front, you know, I'm going to have to give it to the Galaxy S2. Obviously, this is, you know, an unofficial test, and it's a very, very tight test at that. But I think the Galaxy S2 is the winner, at least, you know, on the mobile device. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, one other thing I want to show you is TouchWiz extends out to, you know, all things on this device. I'm going to pull these away so I can show you the phone real quick and show you what that looks like. Now, same tabs up there, logs, contacts, and favorites, but you got some differences to the shortcut buttons down here. You've got voicemail, call, back, call, message, and then back over here. So one interesting thing when I was using the Epic 4G Touch, I'm in such a habit of having that call button there right in the center that when I went to the Epic 4G Touch and used it for a couple of days, I kept trying to press the messaging button instead of the call thing. So something you can get used to, something that's definitely, you know, you're able to adjust to, but still kind of like the placement of it a little bit better. And it's always cool to see those little differences between devices. So here's what the contacts list looks like, and you can see kind of these color-coded pictures. And we'll go to Rick James, for example, and you can see just below info, history, activities, and media. You can see the text messaging icon, which again looks different on the AT&T version. The contacts I have, the number, and then default ringtone, and then again history, activity, media. So history will show me times I've called or text messaged Rick James, our activities together and our media together, and then of course I can favorite it, and I can save a picture if I so desire. So you've got all these different options. I wouldn't say it's quite up to par with HTC Sense and how they've organized everything, but it's still very, very decent. And, you know, and TouchWiz 4.0 has quickly become one of my favorite mobile user interfaces just because it's very crisp, very clean. 4.0 is a huge improvement over 3.0, and it works really well with both of these devices. Now, one of these devices has to be declared as a winner, and I'm going to give it, you know, just by a narrow, narrow margin to the Epic 4G Touch. And I'm giving it to the Epic 4G Touch for hardware. It's got the bigger display. It has a nicer body to it, in my opinion. I like the way the hump is a little bit more subtle on the back of this, and the bigger battery. That's huge for me. Battery's a big one. May not be for you, but for me, 1800 milliamp hour battery makes a big difference as opposed to the 1650 milliamp hour one in the AT&T version. Now, one thing I will say, Sprint's network is struggling right now, and there are a bunch of iPhone 4S's about to land on the Now network. So hopefully, you know, at this October 7th event, they'll either talk about some of the kinks with their 3G and with their 4G. Hopefully they'll get that worked out in due time. But I would take advantage of that network trial that they have. You know, put it through its paces, take it to work, take it, make sure you have it at home, take it all the places you use it on a regular basis, and see how quickly your data is performing. Because after all, like I said, you know, I hate to harp on something so much, but data from the weather widget here, to the news widget here, to the weather widget again over there, it's all data-based, you know? I mean, you look at email, it's all based on your data connection, and that can make or break your overall experience on a device. But the Epic 4G Touch is the winner. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with both of these devices. We'll have dogfights between these with other devices, other hot Android devices, the iPhone 4S when it comes out, and more. Be sure to like us on Facebook because all kinds of cool content is on there as well. Facebook.com/PhoneDog, and like me on, or follow me on Twitter, PhoneDog_Aaron. Let me know what you think. If you've got the AT&T Galaxy S2, you think it's the hottest thing since sliced bread, you don't like this one, or vice versa. Let me know what you think. PhoneDog_Aaron, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.